Did you have duties? Did you have...
Well, there wasn't too much room for it. Between the secular studies in the morning and the Hebrew afternoon, you have to do homework. And homework is homework all over the world. And by the time you finish with that, it's only 10 o'clock at night, and you have to go to sleep, because tomorrow is another day. By the way, we went to school 6 days a week, from Sunday till Friday. The only thing is, the Friday afternoon, the Hebrews department didn't operate. It was being close to Sabbath, so there's 6 full days for the secular, 5 days for the Sunday, Monday, etc., etc.
Did you have grandparents?
I had, but they died very early. I only met from the 4 grandparents my father's father. He passed away when I was about 9 or 10.
Do you have any memories of him? When you think of him, what do you remember?
A man with a big white beard and a yarmulke on his head. That's the only thing. My mother's mother passed away. My mother, may God rest their soul, was 16, so she hardly remembered her. My mother's father passed away somewhere, I don't know. They lived in Hungary, no better than mine. They lived in Hungary. We lived in Romania. And my father's parents lived in Czechoslovakia. Again, my father's mother passed away when my father was 5 years old.
Oh.
Grandfather remarried. So only the Zaidi, my father's father, whom my father took me to him a couple of times, and I saw him. Last time I saw him, I was 5 or 6 years old, not more than 7. Then he passed away in 19... I was about 9 or 10 years old. And traveling go very expensive. Go from Romania, Czechoslovakia, you need the visas, you need the border crossing, you have the tank connections. Same thing with Hungary.
So it was pretty much your nuclear family rather than a large extended family that you grew up with.
Well, in a way, yes. My father had a brother, talking about the same hometown. And he lived, and he had 4 children. Of them, one lives here in New York. And we were close, and my father had an uncle, his mother's brother, who lived in our town, so this was our nucleus for our family. He was older, his children were older. They flew the coop much earlier than we. We were still kids, they were grown up and moved away. But this was our, or what you just said, nucleus. Like Sabbath, which is old Shabbos, which is the only time we have. One would go visit the other one comes to visit you, and this was it. And during the week, not too much as a visiting, you were busy with your daily routine.
What about your mother and father? Did they socialize in any other ways that you remember when you were little?
They would go over to some friend's house occasionally, not too much. They may, perhaps they might have gone to a movie once or twice that I remember. But not much.
Do you remember when the build-up began that led to the Holocaust?
Well, the build-up to the Holocaust itself became on a Sunday, March 19th, 1944. That's when the Germans came into Hungary and they took over. And I remember that afternoon we went to a very important soccer game. And our home team won, and we came back gloriously and singing all through Main Street. And that night we wanted to celebrate. We're going to go to a movie. We were about 6, 8 friends. As we come along throughout the Main Street, everything is closed. The conditora, and this is unknown in America. It's a place where you go in just with coffee and cake and talk with your friends. This is unknown here. It's supposed to be called a coffee shop, which here is different. And the places where the older generation going to play chess or read the papers or whatever, have with their cup of black coffee, everything was closed. The final Germans came in. And they settled the whole Hungary like within a couple of hours. Now, this was March 19th. By April 4th or 5th, we Jews had to wear the yellow band, yellow star, yellow armband. And by end of May, they started deportation. Now, they were so expert in, by that time, the Germans, that everyone went very, very fast. And to answer your question, this is by the time it really went bad. Before then, already was little sign that Jews were not to deal in certain items, like my father lost his coffee import business, And bread ration was already introduced in either late 42 or early 43. At that time, my father, we were a family, and the bread is the staple over there. Bought on a black market bread rations, and we were given it to the police. And they came to our house and said, "What do you want from my father?" I did it. It didn't help. Both of us were taken into the police station, beaten up, and we had a 3-month sentence in jail, not in prison, but a jail, for black marketeering. Somebody gave in our name.
How were relations between the non-Jewish people once the Germans came into the town?
That you see the true color. Some of them became real mean bass. Some of them were closer to you than others because they knew what it was. Now, don't forget, in 1940s, there were still people who remembered the World War I who served together with the Jewish guy. And they were friends. And throughout the years, they did business together, and the relationship was grown up, and they were friendly. Officially, perhaps you kept your distance. You didn't want to be seen by somebody who might report you. But otherwise, it was pretty normal overall. Individuals, then the younger kids that started more the wildness and the extortion. If you give me a certain amount of money, I'm going to beat you up. This is 3-4 of them against one you. That's what's about it in those days.
So you were taken. What camp were you taken to when you were taken away?
When they put us in a wagon, all of us, the whole family, ended up in Auschwitz. That was about 1:30 at night, Thursday, June 1st. Next day would have been June 1st. Immediately, and I'm sure you heard about this already, we were separated. My brother and I, being young, crafty guys on one side, my father, may God avenge his innocent life, on the other side. And miraculously, I don't know how till today, I saw my sister later, and she told me that mother was also taken on the other side. Meaning, we were the labor camp, this was the extermination camp. This was in Auschwitz. We spent a few days in Auschwitz, about 4 or 5 days. My brother and I were still together. I didn't see my sisters after that. We were shipped over to Mauthausen. It's also a very famous, infamous name. Over there, we spent another 4 or 5 days where our group was divided in certain sections where to send to different subcamps. My brother and I and a cousin and some friends, we ended up in a place called Melk, M-E-L-K. That has the second biggest monastery outside the Vatican. Of course, nobody knew anything. Melk came a little in prominence in the United States where Rosalind Carter visited that place. That's how they wrote about it. Otherwise, it was a nondescript city. They had an army base where we were stationed, and we had to go out to work, etc., etc.
What was the work like? How hard were you working?
Okay, pretty hard. There was different groups. Some of them, we built them factories in a mountain or in a hillsides. The first group, they were the strongest one, mostly Polish and Ukrainians. They were strong like axes. They dug up the earth in the hole. Then my group came in. We put up the frame and the cement, the beton, to make it like a regular tunnel. And that's what we did, which was murderous work.
What was the tunnel for?
Later on, we found out there was a tunnel they built. They manufactured parts for their airplanes. Messerschmitt mostly, not the parts. And this was 1 or 2 or 3, A, B, C, D, E, up to E or F, different tunnels. When one was about 3/4 finished, start digging the next one. Interestingly, very recently, about 8 years ago, my son and I and my friend and his son, we went over to Europe and we went to Melk and looked over this place. And later on to Ebensee, where we were from Melk taken over when the war was closed. And this place is still standing. We visited. We took some pictures. The things are still standing there. I don't have any functional, but the frames are still there.
Yeah.